Greetings and welcome. I am not 100% sure we are going. If you can see me and hear me, please type a 1 into the chat. I'm going to go on the assumption that we are indeed broadcasting here, although I definitely have questions. Greetings and welcome to SEM Mondays, my weekly live show here on YouTube. Shoot an emoji or type a 1 into the chat. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. Certainly a clunky start to this, what I was looking so forward to, and I do have a 1 from Dell. Thank you, Dell. That's awesome. Great to have you here with me live. I love emojis, especially the way they show up, the way they appear on this crazy live thing that we're doing here. So, just in case you don't know, my name is Stephen Pollitt, and I created Source Energy Medicine way back in 2005, and I have been sharing it since. And it's interesting. I hesitate there because in the beginning I was not so enthusiastic about sharing it. I so did not want to do this, especially what I'm doing here today. And yet I have really become quite fond of SEM Mondays, and mostly because Source Energy Medicine is different, right? And I know, well, at least for me, when I try something new, if it's a stretch for me, but I have some interest in it, and there certainly seems to be some merit to it, if I have a way of getting the answers to my questions, then I'll stick with it, right? But if I can't get questions to my answers effectively and with a high level of confidence that I know indeed what the answers to my questions, and I'm doing it right, then if I have that, if I have a way of receiving support, then I'll stick with it. So my intention behind creating SEM Mondays is to create an opportunity so that we can each stay safe, stay in our own home, stay in our own office, and yet have a way of connecting virtually and exploring Source Energy Medicine at perhaps a deeper level than what you can learn about in our free mini course, which is known as the Source Energy Medicine Quick Start Guide. And and of course, the last few months, not of course, because we have folks that find Source Energy Medicine every day. If you are new to Source Energy Medicine, I would love to know that. Type a new in the chat. If you are indeed, if this is your first live SEM Mondays, I would love to know if you are. My whole thing is freaking out here, but it's okay. It's okay. Worst thing that can happen is YouTube shuts us down, and I try my best not to talk about anything that gets us shut down, which does happen from time to time. Talking about COVID-19 and the cellular network and stuff like that does tend to get us booted, but none of that today. Today, it's going to be part open questions and answers. You can ask me anything that you'd like about Source Energy Medicine or health and well-being in general. Certainly any questions about COVID-19, I'd be happy to entertain. And there's some videos on our YouTube channel also where I talk about it and the things that are I think of utmost concern, things that are the most important in terms of how to stay healthy during this crisis, right? Never before have we as humans dealt with this level or these levels of stress, right? And I say these because there's so many levels of stress that you can look at everywhere you turn, whether it's the environment or political environment or economic environment. There's just so many different levels of stress and so much uncertainty, so much fear, so much kind of craziness out there. And I love that. I hope one of my intentions for SEM Mondays is to create a bit of a respite so that we can each disconnect from that for a little while and have an opportunity to continue to heal, continue to heal myself, continue to heal yourself, and focus, right? Focus on something positive, focus on technology that can support you to stay well during not only a pandemic, but each and every day, because the pandemic is not going anywhere, right? We're going to be living with the threat of COVID-19 for at least a year, and it's likely going to get more complicated, right? Because COVID-19 is going to mutate, and And, the economy is opening back up, schools are opening back up, people are going out to restaurants and socializing, and who knows what's going to unfold for us. I think very, very, very few people, a few epidemiologists saw this coming, but other than them, I don't think anyone saw this coming. Sylvia Browne saw this coming, and she wrote about it in a book many years ago. And interestingly enough, the quote that has been going around quite a bit from Sylvia, who passed quite a few years ago, did say in 2020 there would be a pandemic and it would come out of nowhere. And the good news in this is she predicted that it will also disappear, seemingly out of nowhere, which I don't know if anyone watching this knows anyone who is a medium, because I'm highly interested in finding someone who can actually connect with Sylvia so we could perhaps learn more from that, because her prophecy, if you will, is a very short passage in a book, so there's not much there. But if there's a medium out there who has a way of being, if you know a medium who has a way of basically calling upon a specific individual, specific non-physical being who was physical not that long ago, to perhaps get an update or share some greater insight, I think it'd be awesome, right? How amazing would that be? And I think we need to think outside the box in terms of being able to come up with ways of being able to heal from this, right? Heal from this individually, collectively, and as a species. So it's my part is I share source energy medicine with you for free. And I've done this long before COVID-19, but now I am so grateful that it's still an insane notion to basically give away one of our greatest assets, our second greatest asset, which I can't say without explaining. To me, our first greatest asset is this energy work, right, that I'm continuing to share freely on SEM Mondays. So first part of this will be open Q&A, ask me anything you want, and then we'll segue into a group energy healing session, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to it. But it's known as the non-material aspect of source energy medicine. It's the same technology that's in our charging labels, except no material substance, hence the name, non-material aspect of source energy medicine. There's no charging labels, no water bottles, and it's a lot faster. It's a much more effective way of being able to experience source energy medicine technology. So if you haven't already experienced it, you'll have the opportunity to explore that today. Worst thing that can happen is nothing, and the best thing that can happen would be a blessing, and what would often be characterized as a miracle. So, I love that A Course in Miracles teaches us that miracles should be our birthright. Not that long ago, I didn't have that perspective. I thought miracles were reserved for the destitute, or saints, those sorts of things. Or if someone is contemplating taking their life, something like that. I thought that was the realm of the miracles. But of course, Miracles teaches us that miracles should be part of our common day occurrence. And if I'm not experiencing a miracle, then I'm deflecting it in some way. I'm blocking it in some way. And the cool thing is, Course goes on to explain that even if I am blocking or deflecting or not embracing, allowing, or it's like a miracle standing outside my door, ringing the bell, banging on it, and I've got headphones on and I'm listening to some really good music. Course teaches us that God, Course in Miracles uses traditional Judeo-Christian language, so God and Christ and typical male patriarch paradigm is used in Course in Miracles. So it says that God will hold all of those miracles in, I don't think they call it escrow, but that's the way I see it. It's like held in a trust account for me. So we'll talk about that more. But yes, I do indeed believe that the energy healing component of source energy medicine is our greatest asset, simply because it's more flexible and it's faster, it's more direct, it's more efficient, more effective than our charging label technology. So but certainly, a close 1 in 2. But yes, to give away one of our greatest assets for free is insane in a lot of ways, but I truly, truly, truly do believe that we are all one from a consciousness perspective and from a perspective of physics, right? On an energetic level, and even way beyond an energetic level, we are indeed all one. It's not just philosophy. It's not just a pretty notion or a bumper sticker or a refrigerator magnet. We are indeed all one. And I think the sooner we start acting like that and truly do love our neighbors, except, the teaching that's attributed to Christ is love my neighbors as I love myself. I look back at my life, certainly many years ago, and I am glad I didn't treat my neighbors the way I treated myself, because I didn't love myself very much. So to, love my neighbors the way I love myself, I think unless you really, really, really love yourself, maybe treat your neighbors better than you treat yourself until you sort out, right, your stuff, right, those shadows, if you will, or very often they're associated with life, right? So whatever it is, but I do think what the world needs now is indeed more love, more kindness, more compassion, more tolerance, more room for everyone simply to be. And I think the sooner we get about that, the sooner we will stop having, because we created COVID-19 out of collective human consciousness. Might be a harsh pill to swallow, but that's the reality of it. And if you look at it from a perspective of Dr. David Hawkins, from an energetic perspective or a calibration perspective, it's just simply a vibrational match to what we are being. And what we are being is very egoic based. It's being very selfish, very harshly judging others, not having compassion or tolerance or room for each other to show up and be. But kind of needing everyone to be the way I want them to be, or the way I want to be, in order for me to be okay. And, we continue to have wars over things like borders and religions and races and who's right and stuff like that. So, it's an interesting thing to think about. And conversely, I know that we can transform not only individual consciousness, which is what we're doing when we explore source energy medicine, but as I transform my consciousness and I transform my physical aspect, my mental aspect, my emotional aspect, as I continue to heal consciously and unconsciously, then I'm helping to shift global human consciousness primarily by shifting my subconscious mind, which is an odd way of looking at it, but that is ultimately the way we do go about transforming the physical aspect of my being. So, so the chat is open to your questions, and thank you for all the ones and the kind words. It's kind of crazy to think about all of this, but I love that we have a way of being able to come together. At least, within Source Energy Medicine, we have different communities in our online workshops, and there are a lot of folks who aren't interested in our online workshops, and I want to create community for everyone, right? Everyone who's interested in exploring Source Energy Medicine and healing in general. So I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. Milo does most of my tech stuff. God, what a blessing that young man is. But we do our best to compile questions that come in from all the various ways that questions come in and try and find common threads or things that maybe just a handful of people are asking, but they're really, really good questions. And because they're such good questions, we know that everyone will benefit from the answer. So I'll do my best to bounce back and forth between questions that you have for me, folks who are alive. And I think it's important for you to know that if you're watching this in replay, you can always scroll down, leave a question, comment in the comment box below, and I do my very, very best to answer as many questions as possible and to respond to you in a timely manner. So, yeah. And, originally SEM Mondays, when I started this, was an 11-minute format, and we've expanded that rapidly because there are many more questions coming in, and of course to accommodate the group energy healing session. So, yeah. there's so much stuff for me to remember before I forget. While you're here, if this is of interest to you, subscribe to my channel. I don't understand it, but that bell icon is awesome. If you click that bell icon, then you'll be notified when I'm live or when a new video is uploaded to our channel. So both subscribing and clicking that bell icon is really the best way that I can continue to be able to help you, to support you. And if while you're watching this, you think of someone who might be interested in the group energy healing session or source energy medicine in general, YouTube makes it so easy to share a video. Just click the share and you have numerous options for how to share source energy medicine. And, because source energy medicine and the entire quick start guide is free, you're not sharing something that then is going to cost your friends anything other than some time and some curiosity and some exploring, and it might just be an answer to their prayers. So the thing that I really want to talk about today is kind of crazy. Excuse me here one sec. So some of the strangest questions that I receive, and some of the most interesting questions that I receive, are related to what is often described as a psychic attack or a slow energy broadcast. And you might not know. Gosh, I look back like probably 20 years ago or so. Before that, I had this very, very, very strong belief that no one could psychically attack me. And I often look at that like that's having a very, very strong belief that gravity doesn't affect me. So whether I believe in gravity or not, I'm affected by gravity. Whether I believe someone can psychically attack me or not, I can be psychically attacked. And just in case you don't know what a psychic attack is, A Course in Miracles teaches us that on a subconscious level, everyone always feels everything. So, two people can be sitting at a cafe and they both have smiles on their face. But if one person is harshly judging the other will feel it. And, they might not get the notion that, my gosh, this person is like just judging the heck out of me. But they won't feel comfortable, right? They just won't. There'll be this underlying, I got to get out of here. How can I excuse myself? The quickest, fastest, easiest, probably, most direct way. So, and it's because you don't have to be. We're all psychic. We're all intuitive. Some people know it and some don't. But on a subconscious level, we feel it. And often we attribute that feeling to an extra sense. And it's really not so much an extra sense, right? It's a sense. It's a sense that we all have. If you're a more sensitive person, you're going to feel it a whole lot more. And just think about it. Do you ever walk into a cafe or walk into a bar and you just get this feeling like, something isn't right here? And certainly I think in that type of a scenario, women are more likely to be the recipient of unkind thoughts or worse, right? But it's not just women. And again, it depends on the level or the severity of the thought and how sensitive the person is, right? So it's kind of like the opposite of a prayer. And it is a form of like mental voodoo, if you will. But, if you think of it like as being the opposite of a prayer, did you ever think about someone, right? A friend or a family member, or someone you haven't seen in a while, and you just mentally send them love, you mentally send them a hug. And then within short order, like they call you or they email you or you run into them, and that is that's the opposite side of a psychic attack. But on an energetic level here too, it gets complicated pretty fast, because you may not understand calibrated energy levels. Gosh, if you don't, I have some videos on our YouTube channel where I talk about the importance of calibrated energy level, because calibrated energy level not only affects what I experience physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in relationships, and everything, but it also has an effect in terms of how I experience this world, in terms of my sensitivity, and whether something has a profound negative effect or no effect at all. So at a high enough energy level, things like psychic attacks are less devastating, oddly enough. At lower energy levels, especially below 200, things like psychic attacks can be debilitating. So, and there are different degrees of psychic attacks. It's kind of like a volume control, right? There's a psychic attack where I think of someone, I think of a former business partner, and the business did not end well, or the relationship did not end well, and when I think of that person, gosh, I certainly hope I don't have anyone in my life now, because I've done so much work on making amends and forgiveness and trying to clean up my side of every relationship, that I hope I don't have anyone left in my life that when I think of them, I don't have anything but at least something kind, or something to be grateful for, some way of being able to bless that person. But there are a lot of people, I'm going to tell a short story. It may not be such a short story, but the way this came to the forefront of my awareness was many years ago. I don't know how long ago, probably 10 or more years ago. I had the really amazing, unique opportunity, such a blessed experience for me, to work with a man who is an international spiritual leader. He was 84 years old. And he was the creator of this international spiritual organization, and he created these communities all around the world. He was on Oprah and every other top talk show, author of over 150 books, most of them best-selling. His mission was to spread love. And when I started working with him, he had very advanced Alzheimer's and dementia. He had diabetes, he had gout, he had hypertension, he had a significant list of challenges, but the Alzheimer's and dementia was about 8 or so years progressed, or 8 or so years into it. And it got to the point where it was so bad that it looked like he was going to have to spend the rest of his life in isolation, because he began to be verbally inappropriate. And, this is a man who, when he was in his early 20s, became a monk and basically lived his life serving God and his guru and his community. So so it was interesting, because he had, if you understand about calibrated energy levels, he has died, but he had one of the highest potential ideal energy levels of anyone that I've worked with to that point. And it was so high. Part of the challenge was, obviously, because of all of those challenges, the physical aspect of his being calibrated below 200. And in spite of him being on this mission for spreading love, there were a lot of people who literally wanted this man dead, right? They didn't just wish him ill or hate him, they wanted him dead. So he was being so severely psychically attacked that achieving his ideal energy level was super challenging, and it was challenging in ways that I had not encountered before, and I couldn't understand it. And did enough digging. He had a full-time nurse, because his challenges were so severe, and she'd worked with him for a long, long time. But it was like a roller coaster. His calibration would get high and then it would plummet, and I couldn't figure out what it was, because the things that usually affect our overall energy level are stress, fear, judgments. And here's a man who was committed to no harsh judgments, right? Certainly had a high level of stress, oddly enough, for being a saint-like man, saint-like being, because he traveled all the time, and he was so committed to helping his fellow devotees that there's a high level of stress, and he often took on other people's karma to help them to progress, and it was insane. But working with him was not easy, because it was like a roller coaster, and he wouldn't stop, you know. And it became more challenging because the Alzheimer's and dementia stuff within just a short order, 4 to 6 months, no more, which meant he was back traveling constantly, nonstop, and all around the world because he had communities in Italy and India and you name it throughout the U.S. So I became friends with his nurse, and I became friends with him, which was still crazy to think about to this day. But we would have talks like two friends would have, which was bizarre for me because I was never friends before with an international spiritual leader, and this was my first time. So what I found out was that there were a couple of people that he knew who they were, who literally did wish him dead. And I learned about psychic attacks and creating shields for psychic attacks from studying with Jill Marie Wood, who developed Serenity Vibrational Healing. And Jill is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light worker, just an amazing, amazing woman, teacher, certainly mentor for me. And that was my introduction, right? That was because before I thought, nah, no one could psychically attack me and have a negative effect on me. So I brought forward, this is many, many years later, I brought forward what I learned from Jill and created a source energy medicine, which is known as transformation number 59. The name is Slow Energy Broadcast Psychic Attack Transformation, and T59 is designed with the intention to help to transform anything, right? Because a psychic attack, first we feel it subconsciously, but it then has a strong negative effect on our energy level, has a strong negative effect on a lot of things. So for this man, it was like he couldn't drink enough T59, right? Because the psychic attacks were so strong, and the people who were psychically attacking him were very passionate about their attacking. They literally wanted this man dead. So it wasn't until we created a shield within the non-material aspect of source energy medicine and uploaded and installed this shield for him that his energy level stabilized. So, I think about, just kind of life in general, right? And unfortunately, for a lot of people who are playing on the, not wanting to spread love, not wanting to recreate the kingdom of heaven, but wanting to spread suffering and pain and discomfort and difficulty. Think of anyone who is an ex, right? Ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-neighbor, ex-business partner, you name it, right? Ex-in-law, all of these things, all of these exes. If you don't make amends, if you don't practice forgiveness work, if you don't clean up your side of the street, as is often described in 12 steps, make amends, providing that you're not going to make things worse and trying to make amends, right? Trying to make me feel better to, create more pain and difficulty and suffering. As long as you're not going to do that. But, most people, if you've had a pulse for any length of time, if you've been around the sun more than a few times, you likely have people who, when they think of you, they're not sending you unconditional love. They're not sending you gratitude. They're not blessing you. But they're doing this other stuff. So, T59 for some people is like the winning lottery ticket. It certainly was for this man, and it was the key to him achieving, sustaining, and maintaining his ideal energy level, which again was super high, beautifully, beautifully high, until his last breath. And he lived, I think, another 4 or 5 years, wrote several more books, traveled constantly, and had very, very, very few physical health challenges, and literally lived happy, healthy. One day, didn't feel so well, said he was going to lay down, was surrounded by some of his closest friends, some of his oldest friends, and he died. So it was a really profound experience for me to be able to see this guy who was, I would characterize him as a saint, And I remember him telling me that part of the challenge with being an international spiritual leader is it attracts a lot of people who don't want, to spread love, who don't want to spread compassion and tolerance and bridging gaps between religions and cultures and ethnicities. So in some regards, I have a lot of friends that say, yeah, the brighter the light, the more we show up on the radar. And, in his case, he was so firmly committed to his mission, to his life, to God and Guru, that he was willing to endure whatever it took. And it was such a blessing to be able to help him, to support him, so that he did not suffer negatively. He wasn't, sacrificing his own health and well-being in this regard for the rest of us. So, and I mention this because it's such a common question, and there's a teaching from the Way of Mastery that goes something like this: denial can never purify the mind, for that which I refuse to embrace. I apologize. Denial can never purify the mind, for unless I choose to embrace that which is in shadow, it'll stay in shadow, right? And once I embrace it, then light will return to the place where shadow once dwelt. Horrible quote, but that's not the exact quote. I did a horrible job of quoting that teaching, that passage, but that's the essence of it, right? So denial, especially in cases like this, right? Thinking that gravity is, it was like there were a lot of people, a lot of powerful, influential people who thought COVID-19 was nothing. And that kind of denial, I think, created a lot of the challenges that we're still experiencing now. So unless I'm willing to stop denying that I could be psychically attacked, then do something about it proactively, which T59 can help, but certainly making amends, cleaning up messes, having conversations, writing letters, whatever we can do just to help to clear things up, so that when someone thinks of me from a past relationship that did not end well, they at least are not wanting, wishing me ill or worse, right? So, and for some people, like for this man, drinking T59, it was physically impossible for him to drink enough T59. So kind of keep that in mind. And, he's not the only one who T59 is like winning the lottery, or the shields that we do in the non-material aspect of source energy medicine. But, it's something that not an easy conversation to have, certainly something that I wish, like, we were born with a shield, so we couldn't be psychically attacked. But for whatever reasons, we're not born with a shield like that, at least a shield that protects us in that regard. So it does indeed take some work on the conscious and unconscious side of the fence, doing some work that can be some of the most difficult, certainly was for me some of the most difficult, and yet, one woman who comes to mind who I was business partners with in New York City, and this partnership ended horribly. And we were closest friends for a long time. And then no connection, no communication, and it was awful. And thank God it didn't go too long. And now we're back being friends. We're not the best of friends ever. But every time I think of her, I always get excited and I send her love rather than thinking of her and cringing, or going back to what went wrong. So it's nice for me, it has been nice to clean up as many messes as I have, as best as I can from my past, so that I'm not drinking gallons of T59 every day, hoping that I'm drinking enough to not be negatively affected by people who wish me ill. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So I'm going to segue now, get things set up for the group energy healing session. And what I would encourage you to do, what I invite you to do, is to choose one goal or one challenge, just one of either, right? And the reason why I say that is because very often most folks have a bunch of challenges and a bunch of goals, and if you just lump them all into one session, it's hard to say what's working, and it's very easy to say, nothing worked, and then you discount the whole thing. But if you choose one goal or one challenge, then that has your attention, that has your awareness. I'm always interested in measurable results, right? Progress that is tangible, progress that I can use my senses to discern my progress, right? So think of one goal, think of one challenge, get comfortable if you're in a place that's safe and appropriate. Get as comfortable as you can. If you're not in a place where it's not safe or not appropriate, then perhaps come back and revisit this at another time when you can actually honor the healing process, get comfortable, lie down if possible. If it feels safe and comfortable and appropriate for you to close your eyes, that seems to help to increase the receptivity. But please don't close your eyes if you're driving or flying an airplane or and sometimes even like sitting in a hot tub or if you're in a swimming pool, probably not the best time to get super relaxed and to experience healing. So please use common sense. And every time I am working my way to beginning a session, I'm always reminded of a teaching from A Course in Miracles, which basically states there is no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles. So a lot of people think, oh, I'll start with something small, and then if I have success with that, then I'll work up to the things that I think are bigger ones. But if you think about it, you are always healing yourself. It might look like I'm in the role of the facilitator, and I certainly I don't think it's me facilitating. I'm more acting like a guide, and I'm really guiding you to be able to continue to heal yourself, removing whatever blocks there could be that are present to you being able to be self-balancing, self-healing, and self-correcting. But in every situation, in every case, you are always healing yourself. And it's that divine part of you, right? It is that eternal aspect of you that is healing yourself. And I believe that is that part that is within each and every one of us and each and every living thing, right? Not just sentient beings, but each and every living thing, that which is divine, that which is source energy. And it is always that part that is healing myself, that is healing yourself. So if you think about it, to source, nothing is difficult, right? There is no easy or difficult. It all just is. So being able to transform something that I would consider to be big is no more difficult for the source of all creation than something that I would consider to be menial. So with that in mind, get comfortable. On your end, the only thing for you to do is to relax and to receive, to allow, to trust. So there'll be some chanting going on in the background, and I will turn my video camera off so that it's not annoying or distracting to you. But I invite you to get as comfortable as you can and take a nice deep breath and continue to breathe comfortably throughout. This work is phenomenally fast and will likely just take a few minutes. Continue to breathe comfortably. As much as possible, trust the process. As much as possible, try and see yourself the way the source of all creation sees you, which I believe the source of all creation sees you as whole, as perfect, as innocent, eternal, divine, free of sin, free of guilt, truly a blessing to all. Divine and holy in every way. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. And if your eyes are closed, please go ahead and slowly blink them open. And come back to here and now, this time space reality on YouTube to SEM Mondays. And it's important for you to know that even though this work is phenomenally fast, this work will continue to unfold for you for hours to come. Revisiting either this particular session or any of the sessions that have been part of SEM Mondays since March would be very, very, very helpful for most folks, especially these days with higher levels of stress and fear and uncertainty. So, allowing yourself that bit of respite, that bit of time every day to continue to heal yourself, I think is wise. There's definite added benefit to experiencing non-material source energy medicine session like this once or twice a day just to support you. Especially if you're new to source energy medicine and you're still working on some of the basics, right? You're still working on transforming your subconscious mind, your overall calibration, your overall energy level is likely calibrated below 200. I mean, mathematically speaking, before source energy medicine, it would be like 1 in 7 billion chances that your overall calibration would be above 200. So mathematically speaking, pretty safe to say that at least the physical aspect of your being would be calibrated below 200 before you started source energy medicine. And for most people, 60 to 90 days, that's no longer true. It takes about 60 to 90 days. It's most of the work that we're doing in step 2 of the sample protocol that helps to, that holds the intention to transform our subconscious mind, which once we do that, then everything else falls into place, right? Everything falls into our ideal energy level. So just before I came on back, I scrolled through the chat, and awesome to see so many friends, and thank you for your kind words. Gosh, so many people that I love in here, and some I haven't seen for quite a long time. Which is awesome to see you here. Lynn, I see your comments, and there is a playlist that's on our YouTube channel. The title of the playlist is A Deep Dive into the Source Energy Medicine Sample Protocol. There are 3 relatively short videos, but to answer your questions, all of your questions in one short answer is, based on what you shared, you want to combine every step in the sample protocol, right? The challenges are to the point where you don't have necessarily the luxury of time to be able to follow the sample protocol. So you're combining everything all together. You're taking every source energy medicine all at once. So you have to be, the only thing you really have to be careful with is that you're not drinking too much water. So frequent sips throughout the day, and having a friend or a neighbor or a family member support you in just the making and the mixing and the bottling of the source energy medicines would be very, 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 very helpful. So, and then the other option, as I mentioned, the non-material aspect of source energy medicine is definitely the fastest, the most direct, the most efficient way to experience source energy medicine. So either working with me or one of our non-material source energy medicine practitioners, would certainly be, that would be my choice, right? If it was a close family member or a loved one, that would certainly be my choice. Combination of the two would be likely the most helpful, but if you're exploring the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, then you're taking many, many, many fewer bottles with charging labels on it. I hope that makes sense. So, and if you have any questions about any of that, simply send me an email. And I do my best to reply to every email that I receive within 72 hours, during regular business hours. And if anyone ever sends me an email, especially with a serious question like this, and you don't receive an answer in within 72 business hours, just resend it, right? Help us, help me. Milo certainly helps to manage my my email. So one of us will reply to you, and if we don't, just resend it. So I have an appointment that I am actually late for, and I have this thing about being prompt, mostly out of love and respect for you and for the folks that I have scheduled into my day. So certainly between now and God willing, next Monday I'll be back here live for another installment of SEM Mondays. Take good care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Continue to look at this time as an opportunity for deep healing, whether it is subconscious healing, conscious healing, or unconscious healing. You know, connecting with someone who, when you think of them, you think that they are probably not sending you love, if at all possible. If you can help to clean that up without creating further harm, then reach out, do whatever it takes. Send an email, send flowers, send whatever is the most appropriate. Write a card, right? A handwritten card goes so far, at least in my book. So as always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. God willing, I'll see you back here next Monday. Bye for now.